Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be covering some news that's been on the forefront a little bit lately, and this is mainly in line with video game movie news. Now, as far as video game movies, there's been a lot of really bad ones. There's been a few mediocre ones, and there's been a couple that have been relatively good. Probably the best video game movie I think I've sat through is probably the Warcraft film. Um, but news has been coming out steadily about the Gears of War movie. Now, this was announced back in 2016 when the company known as the Coalition, who is Microsoft's little branch that handles the ongoing Gears series, kind of like what they did with Halo, where 343 Industries took over from Bungie when Bungie separated from Microsoft and they left the Halo franchise behind. Um, and the Coalition is essentially the Gears version of that. They've been making Gears 4 and 5, and they're in the process of making 5. And they entered into a deal with Universal Pictures in order to produce a Gears of War film. Um, Now they've had a few writers come on, and as far as we know, I don't think there's been any finalized scripts. But recently, actually probably I think since 2017, actor Dave Bautista, who's best known for playing Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers films, is has been campaigning for Marcus Phoenix. He wants to play Marcus Phoenix, which I think is really cool. Um, Now, here's the thing: Dave Batista is, he's hit or miss with me in terms of the way that he conducts himself. I thought he was a bit of a crybaby when James Gunn was let go by Disney, and he was bitching and moaning about it the whole time, and a lot of that. I think he was more he spoke out a lot more than a lot of the other actors and crew that were involved with the Guardians films. Um, and I take some points off for that because I think that it was relatively unprofessional of him as an actor to go to that extent. Because he felt like it was a personal thing for him, and I kind of get that. He's probably friends with Gunn, but I think that you need to, when you're a public figure, I think that you need to conduct yourself a certain way in public in certain cases. I don't have a problem with calling a spade, but when you start going after Walt Disney Corporation, who's the company that signed your checks, I think it probably might not be a great idea. But ultimately, everything worked out for at least for him in the end. Gunn was hired back, but uh, he's one of those people that always kind of felt he was very relatively he was as much a fan as the people that were watching the films. That's how it felt to me when you see him, and I think that's why he's campaigning for Marcus Phoenix. And to be fair, I think he would make a great Marcus Phoenix. He even looks exactly like Marcus Phoenix. He has the exact same body type. I think he would be a perfect fit. Now, according to him, he's been getting stonewalled from the people that are from Universal Studios and whoever is developing this film. The individuals, I don't know if he's spoken with anybody specifically, but he's reached out to Universal on more than one occasion. And now we've also had fellow action star Terry Crews come into the mix, saying he would like to be in the movie as well. I would assume as the character of Coltrane. So this is a very interesting thing where you have two relatively high profile actors. I would say Batista is more high profile than Terry Crews, but you have two very relatively high profile actors that are campaigning for two large roles in a video game film, which is very strange. Given the history of video game movies, we've had, video game movies have still had names in them. The Assassin's Creed movie with Michael Fassbender, Bob Hodgkins in Super Mario Brothers. God, that was a terrible movie, and Dennis Hopper in that as well. But for the most part, you don't get a terrible amount of really big names in video game movies. You can look back at like Doom. Like, okay, Carl Urban was a relative nobody at the time. He had been in a few movies, but he wasn't really huge. The Rock was just getting into acting. He was mainly known for his wrestling roles and stuff like that. Those are the people they normally sign. Even though both of those actors went on to do bigger and better things, that's really kind of the people that they sign is relatively not unknowns, people that have kind of proven themselves, but people they don't have to give top billing, which might be the reason behind that. They can't afford Cruz's and Batista's price tags, which is a good point. I mean, you do have to work within your budget. Universal isn't going to dump a shit ton of. I don't think Universal is going to dump a shit ton of money into a Gears of War film because of the rocky history of video game movies. Now, here's the other thing, is that Gears has a relatively good story, but at its core, it's a war game. That's what it is. It is a brutal, hardcore war game. And even though you're fighting these like mutant locust things that come out of the ground and a bunch of this other crap, it's still gritty and hardcore and bloody and fucked up. You have a machine gun with a chainsaw on it, for Christ's sakes, and you can use to hack through people. Just to see that on screen would be awesome. But uh, this is one of those things that I feel like this is a movie that is going to wind up getting stuck in development hell, and I think that's why they've been stonewalling Bautista and Cruz, because they haven't creatively been able to get the wheels turning on this. Either they haven't had the right people come in to do the writing, or they haven't had the right people come in to be the spearhead for this film. Now, I think after you have a director signed on, I think you might see some stuff in advance. Because here's the other thing. As far as I'm aware, there was no director attached to this project, at least not currently. And problems arise a lot of the time when you have a director come in after the studio has already gotten an actor, because that director may not want that actor to play that specific role. Maybe they want to play it differently than how the actor generally is. I wouldn't say Dave Bautista is a one-trick pony, but he generally plays kind of that tough guy type of attitude and stuff like that. Maybe they wanted to play Marcus Phoenix a little bit differently, or maybe this is a prequel to the Gears, the games, or something like that. So I don't necessarily know if the stonewalling is for financial reasons, if it's because they haven't been able to get their shit together in the 2 years that the Coalition and Universal Pictures have been collaborating on this project. But it is interesting to note that you have two relatively high-profile guys in Hollywood who want to be in a video game movie, because that was really the dream. That's the idea, is that you want a video game movie with a good cast and a good writer and a good director, and ultimately you want a good product. And in the past, we really haven't gotten all three of those things. As far as we're seeing here, we're at least getting one out of the three. But again, that's not a winning scenario, because we've seen similar things to that before. But I'm a little optimistic about this, mainly just because I really loved the original Gears trilogy, the first three games. I remember playing all three of them for Xbox 360. And I love them all. I love the Marcus Phoenix character, Marcus, Dom, Coltrane, Baird, all of those characters, Anya, even the people they introduce like later on. I really enjoyed all those characters, and I enjoyed kind of the story of Gears. And it ended kind of like on a perfect note for me with that third game, which is why I'm kind of surprised they went on with four. Now they're going to do five and probably six and however many more they want to do. But I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes, and I'm a bit optimistic just from my own personal bias that maybe this will work itself out, because Dave Bautista does seem like he would be a really good fit for the Marcus Phoenix character. Now, that's my opinion. I want to know yours. Put your thoughts in the comments. I like to know what you're thinking. Tell me, do you think Dave Bautista would make a good Marcus Phoenix, or Terry Crews would make a good Coltrane? Do you think that, who else would you want to see? Would you want to, who would you want to see play, Dom and Baird? Put your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to see what your opinions are. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?